Okay, so picking up from where we left off last time, let's start by looking at making the leg. So to do that, we're going to start with a cylinder. We're going to create a cylinder that's got 6 sides. Just drag this out. Let's just orientate that. Drag it into position. And we'll just do a little bit of, once it's roughly in position, to just lean it back a little bit. We'll just do a little bit of fine tuning in the sub-object mode. Okay, so let's convert that into an editable poly. Let's get down to the sub-object level and let's start sculpting a few of these verts into position. Shortly we'll add a few extra loops in there around the knee area and the joint. Do that in a few moments, just get the sculpting underway to begin with. Okay, we're just using the form of the skeleton as a rough estimate. A bit of scaling here and there. Scaling and rotating the verts, just lifting them into place, etc. Just going to lift that up a little bit. Actually, I'll put that there. I'll add a loop in a moment. Okay, I've just flipped over to the right view, so up here, right view, and I'm just going to add the material to it so I can get in there and have a little look at it in a transparent state. Process of tweaking a little bit as we get in there. I'll just look into perspective view, that'll have to do. Just putting in the main form at the moment. Later on, of course, we'll be adding further detail. Just moving between the sub-object areas using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the keyboard for shortcuts. Makes life a lot easier. And I'm going to click up here all the time. Just kind of get used to doing that. Profile a little bit there. And just going to grab all of them back in there. Grab all of those, just raise those a little bit. There. Let's get in and just tweak those. I'm just going to keep going and tweaking, going and tweaking. So I'll pause the video just while I tidy it up. You do the same. Just keep putting things pretty much following the form underneath. As you see, so just go around, just give it a little bit of form. Don't add any loops yet. We will be adding a loop in a moment, but we don't need to do it just yet. Just use the scale tool. That one there, I'm just going to pull that down. So that's the main kind of enlargement over the calf muscle. Just scale it out a little bit. And we are going to put some loops in around the knee in a second. So I'll just tweak that for a little while. And then, as I say, you do the same. Just keep going. Just while I'm in here, I'll just talk for a moment about using the views here at the top. So currently we're using the, in order to move any of the vertices, we're using the view setting. But you can also use the local setting. You'll notice that the axis there changes. And the axis sometimes, in the local setting, it's kind of a little bit more useful in pushing that vertices in the way that you want it to. But if you're going to do this, if you're going to be moving in and out of the different view settings, just be conscious of the fact that that's what you are doing. And maybe a point where you think, well, I've done that, I just need to flip back now to view. So we have view, screen, world, parent, local, gimbal, etc. So most of the time, I'll get that back in 2 seconds. So we're just going to keep tweaking till we're roughly in the right place. And then I think what I'm going to do is add a little loop just around the knee. Okay, just down on it there. Okay, it's not critical because we can refine this all a bit later. It's just to get that first bit of structure in there. So let's use the Swift loop and let's put one in there about there. And I'll put one in about. Put one in there, yeah, just to bring that together. And then just give that a little bit of a squeeze there, and take that loop. 1, 2, and loop that. Just give that a little squeeze in as well. Okay, that structure looks okay. Little edge in there that needs just that's okay, that's good. Looks close enough for the time being. Okay, that'll do. Okay, so let's just go to the subobject polygon level, and I'm just going to hide the background for a moment. I'm going to go to the subobject polygon level, and I just want to make sure that I'm deleting the polygon there, and just inside, I'll just drop that down a little tiny bit. Sorry. Just drop that. Keep doing that. Just get that down a little tiny bit. Just so I can have a look underneath. So in here as well, I'm going to delete that one and that one. Now, as you can see, if you look carefully, what I've got there is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided polygon. 6 sides here, and we're going to bridge between those 2 gaps. Before we do, we have to do an attach function, and I'm just going to shape that a tiny bit so that there's a bit of... Oh, that last one didn't mean to move out there. That's it. We can tidy that up in a moment. But, okay. There. So we've got our leg. I'll just name it leg so you can see what's about to happen. So name that leg, and really I'll name the box, I'll just say torso. Okay, and with the torso selected, I'm going to use the attach function and join the leg. Now you'll see that that object is no longer called leg, it's now called torso, and at the sub-object element level I can select both objects independently of each other, but they are in fact now one complete object. So let's have a little look at joining everything up. We've got exactly the same amount of vertices on the leg section as we do on the torso section. What we're going to do is we're going to use the border command there, and the border command to control and click there, and then we're going to use the bridge command to join the two. And then we're going to just move the verts to get rid of that twist. So it's just a case now of aligning the verts to return our flow, so get the flow back into the topology. And that just takes a little bit of work to make sure that everything's going in the right direction again. So it's just a case of going around now, reconnecting, and if you want, while you're doing this, you might find it useful to change the opacity of the material that I showed you earlier, so I'll just slide that on and show you how. So the material that's sitting in your slate editor, if you click on it and go down to the special features and you turn that to white, the material loses its transparency and you have full-on opacity, which is probably what you want for this part of the process. So it's just a case now of going through and making sure that those connections have been made. You've not got any nasty twists or kind of like bumps in the vertices, and that little bridging command that we made will function very nicely for our the hinge, if you like, the hinging area at the top of the leg. We'll be in a few moments. We'll be doing the same thing with the arm. That's the principle. Okay, so I'll just pause the video while I straighten this out. You carry on until you get your get the flow back into the topology. Okay, so once you've tidied up the topology of the leg and you've straightened out any creases, I'm just going to go back to the edit poly level here and just turn the NURMS toggles on, just have a little look at how things are creasing or not creasing. So there's a little issue there straight off. I feel like that could be just raised a little tiny bit. Possibly that needs to come in a little bit. Let's have a little look. Well, a good way to check it out, as I was saying earlier, is just to use the NURMS toggle and turn it on. Turn it on a couple of times and really scrutinize the way that the mesh flows. We're looking for that really even topology. We don't want any creases. And it's around the joints, you know, kind of between the arm, the leg and the torso, and then in a minute between the arm and the torso. That's where we'll see the issues. So we're starting to get a nice, I think, pretty nice topology flowing there. Okay, so the next piece will be just doing the same thing. Come up there, turn the NURMS off. And now we're going to join the arm. Come up there. Yeah, just don't mind that there. Just a little bit too low. Just raise that up a little tiny bit. That looks about Okay, the flow's pretty good. Most places it's pretty good. Let me pull that out a little tiny bit. Flow's good. Okay, alright. So, next thing. Try not to do what I'm doing. Just getting drawn into doing tiny tweaks which are not necessary at this stage. We can do all those later. Yeah, so ignore me. So I'll stop there. Oh, okay. So symmetry's on. The structure looking good. No major flaws. Okay, so let's do the same thing with the arm. We're just going to create another cylinder. I'll just do a quick Control S there to save that. And cylinder, like before, 6 sides, 5 segments, and let's just draw this out in the front view. Well, actually, I'll draw it out in the perspective view and then I'll move it to the front view. Ooh, that's pretty big. Okay. It's nothing quite that big. Okay. And let's just pick it up and position it and scale it. Let's put our female biped back on. Back into position. Okay, so top view, front view, top view again. Oh, just stick the material on so I can see through, and change the opacity of the material. Okay, back to perspective. Okay, let's look at that cylinder. The radius is a little bit excessive. The length is a bit much. So let's just take it about there. Looks about right. Okay, so I'm just going to go in now and start modifying the vertices like we did before with the leg. Okay. So I'm just going to move into the front view. Let's get front view and let's just get that. Convert that to invisible poly. Subobject level. Just like we did before, let's shrink things down. Just going to flip over to local view. Just slide those down. And yeah, that's not working. Sorry. Local view is good for single vertices, but not for groups of vertices. So let's just drag those over and across a little bit. Take those, they kind of the widest part. Let's just shrink it down a little tiny bit. Take the next one and just pull those in there. Those go. let's look at this from the side view. So go across to the right here. Position sorted. Just going to go into the top here for a sec. The top first of all. So definitely a little bit more. I don't know what I've done there. I think I've grabbed 2 extra birds. Joke. Something one of those birds fell a little bit skewy there. And there we go. So I'm just tweaking along. Just while I'm tweaking, thinking to myself, decor 3D modeler is very noisy. Extra. Okay, alright, so you get the idea. So I'll pause the video. I'm just going to keep going until I get my, just like we do with the leg, I'm just going to keep going until I get the profile right. So pause that. Okay, so once you've done your refinement, you've got it roughly where you think it should be. We're going to do what we did last time. We're going to take the torso at the editable poly level. We're going to attach the arm to it. And then we're going to go inside each of those objects and just delete those polys on the inside that we did before. So delete that one, go to the border command and hit control, hit both borders, and let's bridge. Okay, let's see how that's bridging straight off. That's bridging better than I thought it would, to be honest. Okay, looking good. I'm just going to test it out now and then refine it with the NURMS. Let's go and put our NURMS on. Put the iterations on once. Go to there. I'm just going to change my material as well. Make sure material goes back to fully opaque because I want to just review it. Then I can review the model. Okay, give me 2 secs. Something's freaking out here on my machine. Just do a quick save, 1 second. Don't know what's going on there. It's just freaking out. Okay, so I need to get in now and just do a little bit of tweaking, make sure that any additional little bit of sculpting needs to be sorted about now. But straight off, that joint looks pretty good between there and there. I might introduce a little bit more modelling in there just to shape that arm, because from the top view you probably, as you were looking down somebody's arm, the bicep would be a bit broader, and then it would go across the forearm and then it would narrow out again. So I'll just do a little bit of tweaking there. Back to you in 2 secs. Okay, so just take, once you've done your bit of tweaking, just make sure that your NURMS on, go to your symmetry mod, have a look at your model. Make sure, again, just be fairly thorough about the examination of the topology. Make sure that things are flowing. We can tweak everything from this point, but just make sure that the fundamental structure is there. We can remove polys, add more. Well, we don't want to go crazy adding lots and lots of subdivisions with the slice tool, because this is a low poly model, we don't want to introduce unnecessary detail at this point. So we can just thin things out and move things around. Let's do that. Let's tweak a few little things. What I'll do is I'll pause now. We've got the torso, we've got the arms connected, we've got the legs connected. We can tweak this a little bit further, and we can take this on to completion in the next video. Actually, just before we finish this particular session, what we'll do is I'll just introduce you to another tool. You're in the subobject vertex level. You can, in one of your rollouts, it may be hidden, but there's a rollout called self-selection. You can turn it on and adjust the fall off. So I've got my fall off down to about 5. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to, wherever you make your adjustment, it's going to have a little soft effect on the vertice and the area around it. Now you can determine how big that effect is, how gentle it is, or how strong that effect is. It just has a little soft effect on everything else around you, around that selected vertex. So you can just go through and refine. And so on. So anyway, I just thought I'd show that to you before we disappeared. Okay, for the time being, that'll do. Alright, thanks.